Senator Everett Dirksen once said, "A billion here, a billion there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money." Lee Zeldin, the administrator of the EPA, just made a troubling discovery of waste and fraud by the Biden administration. What did he find? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Dr. Ken Henry, and this is Conservative Commentary, where we spread the MAGA message. Before we dive in, I'd like to ask you for a favor. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This really helps us out and helps us grow the channel. And go to the address in the bottom right corner, which is youtube.com/@themagamessage, and check out our other videos. Recent revelations have uncovered a deeply troubling episode of fiscal mismanagement within the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, under the previous administration. A staggering $2 billion in taxpayer funds was clandestinely allowed or allocated to the Power Forward Communities Group, a nascent climate organization with direct ties to Democratic figure Stacey Abrams. That's right. This allocation raises serious concerns about the integrity of government and governmental grant processes and the potential misuse of public funds for partisan objectives. In April 2024, the EPA awarded Power Forward Communities a $2 billion grant as part of its Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund program. Alarmingly, this organization was established merely 6 months prior in October 2023 and reported a meager $100 in revenue during its initial 3 months of operation. The decision to entrust such an exorbitant sum to an unproven entity with no financial track record is at best a reckless gamble with public money and at worst, a deliberate act of fiscal irresponsibility. Further compounding the issue, it's been revealed that the $20 billion allocated for the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund was discreetly placed in an external financial institution, Citibank, prior to the conclusion of President Biden's term. This maneuver effectively shielded the funds from standard federal oversight mechanisms, raising legitimate questions about the transparency and accountability of such a significant financial transaction. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin expressed profound concern over this discovery, highlighting the potential for these funds to be funneled to partisan activist groups without appropriate federal scrutiny. The selection of Power Forward Communities as a primary beneficiary is particularly suspect, given its affiliations. The organization is partnered with multiple left-wing groups, a prominent Democratic activist, and staunch supporter of President Biden. The intertwining of political alliances with the disbursement of public funds suggests a possible exploitation of taxpayer money to advance specific partisan agendas, undermining the founding principles of impartial governance. This episode underscores a pressing need for rigorous oversight and accountability in the allocation of federal funds. The apparent lack of due diligence in vetting grant recipients, coupled with financial maneuvers that circumvent standard oversight, erodes public trust in governmental institutions. It's imperative that such practices are thoroughly investigated and measures are implemented to prevent the recurrence of similar incidents. Taxpayer dollars must be safeguarded against misuse and should serve the broader public interest, free from partisan manipulation. The $2 billion allocation to Stacey Abrams' affiliated group exemplifies a concerning blend of fiscal negligence and potential partisan favoritism. Ensuring transparency and accountability in government spending is not merely a bureaucratic obligation, but a fundamental duty to the citizens whose hard-earned money funds these work. For one, I'm thankful for the efforts of President Trump and his administration. It's refreshing for a change to see a political leader do more than give lip service to reducing waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. Take a look at the following clip and please share your thoughts in the comments.
The EP head himself, Lee Zeldin. All right, Mr. Administrator, can you explain what the heck happened here and how another slush fund has been exposed?
So this is $2 billion of that $20 billion that was parked at this bank outside of government towards the end of the Biden administration. Power Forward Communities, which Stacey Abrams is part of, only received $100 in 2023. They then got $2 billion in this grant in 2024. Now, I was just reading over the grant agreement, Laura. On the first page, it gives the organization, this nonprofit, 21 days to distribute $2 billion. But this is the crazy part. I went to page 7 of the grant agreement, and it's giving the entity 90 days to complete a training called How to Develop a Budget. Now, I would say that if an organization needs to take a training on how to develop a budget, one, they should be taking the training before they're spending $1, but they definitely shouldn't be getting $2 billion.
She's quite something, right? She loses in Georgia, and then she goes on to be she's really an aggregator of, fraud and corruption in the fact, if this is how you view government, it's just a place where you can reward your friends and fund your pet projects and call them green, and then everyone feels good about it. But the Citibank accounts where this money was held, has that money itself been now frozen? Is there actual fraud, do you think, in these payments, or was it just the usual nonsense they were pulling at the end of an administration?
The entire scheme as set up is fraud. It's wasteful. It is abuse. We just had another example come out over the last 24 hours where $5 billion went to another recipient. That person was the director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. He comes from this fund, joins the Biden administration, becomes the director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, and then gave $5 billion to his recently left former employer. That sounds like self-dealing. That sounds like a conflict of interest. And the other problem is that all of this money was put up front. It wasn't like there was performance. You show performance, then you ask for the next tranche. It was, here's $20 billion. And it was going to their friends on the left, as opposed to making sure that the money is going directly towards the purpose that you allegedly said this money was needed for in the first place. If you care about clean air, land, and water, if you think there's some community that's been left behind, then why aren't you spending the dollar actually remediating that issue instead of paying off your friend?
Well, Lee, we have Rosa DeLauro, Murray, Merkley, all these lefties now demanding answers from you. They say your cuts, your spending cuts, your freezes of spending are going to devastate programs that provide clean drinking water and other important environmental, help to people in need. But they're really laying it on thick in Congress, specifically about what you're doing.
I'm not going to waste a penny. I'm a zero tolerance. And Congress should want me to ensure that there's accountability and oversight. The way the agreements were written, when the money goes through the 8 primary recipients receiving $20 billion as a pass-through. When it goes to the sub-grantees, the EPA isn't even a party to those account control agreements. The EPA actually put in writing that we would have less oversight and accountability, and many of those sub-grantees are also pass-throughs. The members of Congress, they should all be outraged. They should be upset that tax dollars are getting squandered, as opposed to trying to make me want to just close my eyes and allow this to play out. We're not going to allow it to happen. The Trump administration has zero tolerance for this.
I love how they're demanding answers from you.